Good morning, everyone. What's going on? It's Melanisha with Just Homesteading. It's probably maybe 7:15 in the morning. I'm out in the garden getting ready to harvest a ton of my leafy greens because today is, we're preserving green beans. I have a bunch of zucchini in there that I need to get put up for the winter. And then I'm also going to can my leafy greens for the first time. So I'm out in the garden, getting ready to harvest everything, and then I will be spending most of the rest of the day inside. So I have my bushel baskets here, and I'm just gonna start up here, and I actually forgot my gloves and my snips, so I need to grab those. I have my youngest out here with me. He's my early bird. So he's having a zucchini muffin for breakfast while I get these greens harvested. So before I start harvesting, I'm just going to show you what's ready, and then I will harvest and show you what I end up with. So these are going to end up being a combination of collards, kale, broccoli leaves if they're still good, Swiss chard, Brussels sprout leaves, basically everything but cabbage, because you can't can cabbage that way. So I won't be grabbing any of that today, or at least not to can. So let me turn the camera around. Okay, so this is a bed of greens. So you see the collards at the end, dinosaur kale over there, Swiss chard, there's broccoli in there, more collards, Brussels sprouts. We have lots of kale and Swiss chard in this bed. Some more collards down here. You see this cabbage is just about ready to be pulled. And then I have some more kale and things on the other side of the garden. So I'm not going to show you those, but I'm just going to get started because I have a lot of canning to do, a lot of preserving to do today, and I don't want to be out here too long. And I do see that I have a zucchini ready. So let me harvest, and then I will show you what I end up with. So I grossly underestimated how much space I would need for these greens. So I ended up with 2 bushel baskets, and then I had to grab my wheelbarrow. So I have a wheelbarrow full and 2 bushel baskets full of greens. And I also found a decent sized potato that I missed. So we're going to take this inside. I'm going to leave the greens outside for right now because I want to get the green beans in the pressure canners, and then while those are in the pressure canners, I can start washing these greens. So let's head inside. All right, we're in the house now. In addition to canning up all of those leafy greens that I just harvested, we are also going to be preserving zucchini. So these are not my zucchini, although I do have a bunch that I need to preserve also. These are from one of our local farmers. They were having a sale, buy one get one, so I grabbed 2 pecks of zucchini. I also have 2 pecks of green beans. We can a lot of green beans all the time, so and my green beans look terrible. I'm going to do my updated garden tour for July, and you'll be able to see that my beans aren't doing great. And then there's also a rodent eating them. So I'm not expecting a large green bean harvest, and just historically I have not grown enough green beans to last us a full year. So that's a goal that I am still attempting to accomplish. I did plant another batch of green beans, so hopefully we'll get more green beans from that batch. So the first thing I'm going to do is start snapping. Well, I'm going to wash the green beans. And I just wash them in cold water, and then I will snap them. So let me get my bowls together, and I also need to throw my quart-sized jars in the dishwasher for a quick cycle. So whenever I'm canning, because I keep my jars down in the basement, I always do a quick wash cycle in the dishwasher before using them. So I'm actually going to run downstairs, grab my jars, get those in the dishwasher, and then start washing and snapping beans. And it would have been great to do some of this stuff yesterday, but I had some errands to run, I had some other cleaning to do, so I just didn't get to it. But green beans are really easy to can, so once the longest part is washing and snapping them. Other than that, it's literally just putting them in the jars with some hot water and getting them in the pressure canner. But I'll walk you through all of those steps. Let me get downstairs so I can get started, because my canners will likely be running all day because greens take a lot longer to pressure can. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly show you how I snap my beans. So you take your bean, take off one end, take off the other, and just depending on how large the bean is, I either snap it into 2 or 3 pieces. I don't usually need to snap it any more than that. So and 2 pecks are about a half bushel of beans. So I'm hoping to get at least 2 canner loads worth of canned green beans. And like I said, this is the longest part, and sometimes my littles like to help me snap beans. So I'm going to see if they want to do that today, because that will make this process a lot quicker. And I'm going to turn my camera off while I finish snapping these, so that way I can start my dishwasher and get my jars ready. And if you have any beans that are discolored or anything like that, then you'll just get rid of those. So he is up, he is full, and that's my, he's what, 21 months? So he's awake and full of energy. Alright, so I will be back once I am done snapping these beans, and then I will show you the next step. So I ended up with 1 large bowl of beans. I have a pot of water on the stove, and I brought my canner up, and that has 7 quart jars in there. I need to grab, I also have my lids. Need to grab a few more things, and then once the water is boiling, I can get these green beans into the canner. I am going to go outside and grab some of my leafy greens so I can start getting those chopped and washed. Okay, so I changed my mind about what I was going to do next. I'm actually going to get all of these zucchini shredded and in freezer bags so that they can go downstairs into the deep freezer. So normally, I would use this to shred my zucchini when I'm making zucchini bread, but since I have so many, I am going to use my KitchenAid mixer, and it has a shredding attachment on it. I'm just going to cut the ends off, And I think the smaller ones I can put in whole, but I may need to cut down some of the larger ones. I'm just grabbing the zucchini out that's stuck in here. And as you can see, it's just a nice fine shred that's perfect for zucchini bread. You know, and this came with something so that you're able to push the vegetables down into the chute, but I don't know where that is. So I am going to finish getting all of these zucchini shredded, and I didn't count how many, but I'd say there's at least 20. Get these shredded, and then I'll show you how I bag them up for the freezer. Okay, so I have a full bowl of shredded zucchini, and what I do is this is a 1 cup size measuring cup, and I put 4 cups in each freezer bag. And I did switch over to my larger shredding tool because the smaller one was pulling too much water out of the zucchini. And then I close it up most of the way and lay it down to pull out or to push out the majority of the air. And then close it, and then I freeze it laying flat. And then I'll just put 4 cups right here so I know how much is in here. Water is ready for the green beans. I'm just waiting for the canner to heat up, and then we'll get those going. again, you just close it most of the way. Lay it flat, and just do your best to push the majority of the air out. And that's it. So I'm going to move this stuff out of the way so that way I can get these green beans in the canner. And if there's enough for 2 batches, then I will go downstairs and bring up my other pressure canner, which I'll probably need anyway with the amount of greens that I have outside. Okay, so I have my hot water, I have my hot jars. Again, hot food, hot jars. I am using the canning recipe from the National Center for Home Food Preservation. The majority of my canning recipes come from them. And this is it's just for canning beans. Alright, so for green beans you can do hot pack or raw pack. I always do raw pack because it's quicker. So you just fill your jars with green beans. And you just pack them in there. And for green beans you need a 1-inch head space. And then then the green beans, you add your water. Okay, and 1 inch is right about there. Then you want to debubble and adjust your headspace if necessary. Clean your rim with a paper towel that has water and vinegar on it. And then put on a lid and a ring. And I forgot to grab my rings, so I need to do that really quick. As you can see, some of my rings are really old. They work just fine. And then you just put it on to fingertip tight, and then put it back into the can. And you see my beans in this colander because I like to give them an extra wash before I put them in the jars. Okay, so this is jar number 7, which means we are almost done with this canner load, and I definitely have enough for a few more jars. I'll show you in a minute what I have left. So the recipe for green beans does say that you can add salt to your jar. I don't do that. I just can them plain, and I season them when I go to cook them. Yeah, so this is what I have left. Maybe about half a bowl, so I think I might get another 7 quarts, probably at least 6. My goal for this year is to get at least 52 jars of green beans, so that's a jar a week. But if I could get more than that, that would be great. It really just depends on how my garden does and what sales that I can find at our local farmers. And this one has just So yeah, these are very simple to can. We love green beans. My children did end up helping me snap them. And of course they ate while they worked. So once your canner is full, you put the lid on and then you bring it up to a boil until you see the steam coming out of your little vent pipe right here. You let it vent for 10 minutes. And then that's when you put your weight on. And then once your weight starts to rock, that means your pressure canner is up to temperature, and then you can start your timer. So for raw pack, and actually the time is the same for hot pack and raw pack for green beans. Based on my elevation, I use the 15-pound weight. Even if you weren't above 1,000 feet elevation, you could still use the 15-pound weight. So for quarts, once the canner comes to temperature and it's at the right pressure, these will stay in the pressure canner for 25 minutes. So, and that doesn't seem like a lot of time, and it's not compared to the leafy greens, which will need 90 minutes. You know, once you add in the amount of time that it takes to bring your canner to temperature, to depressurize, it does take a lot longer. So I'm going to run down to the root cellar and grab my other pressure canner, get that filled with some jars, get that up to temperature, and then I'm going to get that on the stove too. And then while those are cooking, I don't think I'm going to get more than 2 canner loads. I can finish shredding my zucchini and getting my leafy greens ready to get in the pressure canner, because those are going to take a lot longer. And what time is it? So it is about 11 o'clock. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this is going to be an all-day process. And I don't think, other than zucchini, green beans, and leafy greens, I don't know that there's anything else that I need to process today. I'm continuing to bring my onions into the root cellar as they dry outside on the curing rack. I'm harvesting herbs and drying those. This is the time of year where you'll come in my house and you'll just see things hanging everywhere, because that's one of the easiest way to dry herbs. I do have a dehydrator, but usually I just pick small bunches, wrap them in a string, and hang them somewhere in the house. Yeah, so let me run downstairs, grab my pressure canner, and I'm going to get that full. So as you can see, maybe on this side, I have my second pressure canner up here. This one also holds 7 quarts. It has 7-quart jars in there right now. I'm bringing it up to temperature. I am probably going to make another small pot of hot water, because I don't think I'm going to have enough. And then I also just realized that I did not wash enough jars. I think I have enough jars in there for maybe a canner load and a half. And I do think, well, I'm hopeful that I will actually get 2 canner loads full. of leafy greens. So I'm going to run outside, grab a bushel basket, and start getting those washed up. So this is the first batch that needs to be cleaned. Today is one of those days where I wish I had more counter space, but we are going to make do with what we have. And today is also a hot day, so not necessarily the best day to have 2 pressure canners running. But those leafy greens really needed to be pulled. So, and I don't know how everyone else cleans their greens, but for me it has always been easier to chop them first. This way they submerge in the bowl better. To me, I just think they get cleaner faster that way. So, and I will be washing these in a water vinegar solution just to make sure that I get off any bugs that may be on the leaves. So these were starting to wilt because the heat is starting to pick up outside, but for the most part I just slide my hand down the stem and the leaves easily come off. If they're wilted, it's a little harder. And you want to do your cleaning process in small batches because it's really the only way to ensure that you get all of the dirt and all of the bugs off of your greens. So, and like this one, where you see how it has that yellowing on it, we're not going to use this one. Alright, so then normally I just kind of roll what I have and give it a rough chop. Now this is my first time canning leafy greens. It's something that I've wanted to do for years, but I never had enough space to actually give me enough greens to can. So when you see my garden tour for July, it kind of looks like a brand new garden because there are so many new plants in there because I really am hoping for a nice large fall harvest of brassicas. I also need to replant carrots. I just haven't gotten to that yet. I had to spend some time yesterday mowing the grass and weed whacking, and I didn't finish, but I did get some of it done. And I don't know if you can hear my canner boiling, so we're gonna have to put this to the side for a minute because my second canner is where it needs to be so that I can get my second batch of green beans in the canner. So, and when I'm canning green beans from the garden, we have a bunch of different varieties out there. These are just a standard green bean, but I mix them all together. So we have dragon tongue beans out there, yellow wax beans. So I just mix all of them together in a jar, and that's one of the easier, and that's how I can tell the difference between my green beans and the green beans that I get from local farmers. Okay, so my jars are nice and hot, and we're just gonna fill them with our room temperature green beans. Add water like we did before, and get this canner started. Because the first canner, it looks like I can start my 10-minute timer. If you don't do your 10-minute vent, your pressure canner will not come to temperature the way it's supposed to. So don't forget that step. And does anyone use those burners that you plug into the wall? I've been thinking about getting one of those because when I have two pressure canners running, it's hard to fit a pot like this on the stove because there's just not enough space. One of my favorite jars. I don't think you can see that, but it has the Liberty Bell on it. I just put on my 10-minute timer for the first canner. And you know, I'm canning 2 different types of vegetables today. And you can put them in the pressure canner at the same time, but you really only want to do that for vegetables or fruits and things that have a similar canning time. Green beans process for 25 minutes, but the leafy greens that I'll be canning today process for 90 minutes. So you don't want to, and if you're using 2 different types of, or if you're canning 2 different types of vegetables, you have to use the pressure canning time, the longest pressure canning time out of the 2 of them. So you wouldn't want to pressure can your green beans for 90 minutes because they would be complete mush. But I think chicken, I think chicken might be 75 minutes, but that's not as bad, right? So 75 minutes and 90 minutes versus 25 minutes and 90 minutes. I'm gonna get a full canner load, but I do think I'll get close. I am going to have to run back downstairs to the root cellar because I know I don't have enough rings up here. Yeah, and whatever I have left, because I might have just a little bit left after I fill the next jar, my children will eat them. They always eat them while they help me snap them. It's like their tax of helping me. I don't know. Can you see that? I don't know why my lights keep flickering. Alright, this is the last of it. I actually think I'm going to be able to fit all of this in this jar. Yep, perfect. But I'm out of water. Actually, I am able to fit a smaller pot on the stove. I almost burned my foot. Can you actually think you can see that steam? That's what you're looking for. A nice, strong stream of steam for 10 minutes. So we ended up with 5 quart jars of green beans in the second canner for a total of 12 jars, which is great, from essentially a half bushel. So once that one, and it's the same, right? These are both Presto pressure canners. Cleaning my leafy greens, and I'll turn my camera back on once I get those sets done. I had to run back down to the root cellar again to get my big pot because I am using up all of my bowls, but so I just need somewhere to put the clean greens before they can go in the canner. So it's been a lot longer than 25 minutes, but the first canner depressurized enough so that I could take off the lid. And as you can see, the jars are boiling, so they'll sit in here for another maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then I will pull them out and set them on the table. And I'll follow the same process for the other canner, and then I'm going to start canning these greens because I am running out of space. So I'm pulling the second batch of green beans out of the canner, and this is what they look like. So these will sit on the table until tomorrow. I'll check to make sure that they've sealed. Then you wash the jars. I usually write on the lids of, what it is and the year I made it, and then it just goes downstairs into the root cellar. So I am still cutting up all of my greens. There is a lot more than I thought there was, so it's taken me a little while. I have a double boiler on the stove because the recipe calls for wilting down the greens in small batches. So that's what I'm going to use. And although I'm not done cutting up my greens, I'm going to start wilting them down because I'm running out of space. I don't have any more large bowls, so I gotta get some of these in the canner. And I'm just gonna wilt them down and set them aside until I have enough that I think will fill a canner load, and then I will fill my jars and then start the timer. And I'm just continuing to rough chop these. Still bagging up my zucchini. So I had to take a break to eat my little's lunch. And I'll have to take another break later to cook dinner because I don't think I will be done by then. Hear the water boiling, In my pot, I'm gonna start adding these grains in so they can wilt down. And if you don't have a lot of time, you can break this up over a few days. So, but I know that I don't have a lot of time tomorrow, so my goal is to get as much done today as possible. But you could do all your chopping the day before, maybe do your wilting the next day, and then can on the third day. And that will likely be something that I consider the next time I can greens, because it is so time consuming. Pulling greens from a bushel basket down here, and I still have some left outside in the wheelbarrow. But I think I have more inside than I do outside. While I'm waiting for my greens to wilt down, I'm going to get my canner back to the right level of water. And I'm also going to put the jars in. And I'm just pulling these out of my dishwasher. And then I also need to boil another pot of water. I'm out of big bowls, so I'm going to put my wilted greens in this pot. Okay, so this is the last of what I have in the house. I'm going to run outside and grab the rest of the leafy greens. Actually, here's the last of it. Okay, so I am all done wilting down my greens. Took forever, but I ended up with this big pot full, and then I have another small pot that's almost full. Right now I'm heating up my jars. The one canner should be ready in a few minutes, and I have a pot of hot water right here. So the instructions say to fill the jar loosely with greens and then to add your water. And these have a 1-inch headspace just like green beans. as you debubble, and adjust your headspace if necessary. Then you wipe your rim, put on your lid and ring, and then return it to the canner. That's how it looks. And again, you just wipe your rims. Put your lids on and your rings. And I will say that based on the fact that I've already filled 3 jars and I haven't even put a dent in this pot, that I will have a second round of canning to do. I was checking to make sure that the lid would fit, because the funnel doesn't really fit into this jar like it does the others. Yeah, and the directions say to loosely fill, so I don't want to pack them too tight. The last 2 jars for this canner and the jars in the other canner are ready to go. So once I'm done with these, I will put the lid on and turn the heat back up so that my canner can get hot enough.
I'm not sure if the lid is on.
And again, this recipe says that you can put salt in with your greens. I just like to season everything when I open it, so I didn't add any salt to my jars. All right, so the first canner is full, and I am working on the second one. And this is what I have left. So this pot is still most of the way full. And this doesn't include what I have in the second pot. put my backup pot of water on the stove because I think I'm gonna run out. That first canner is already starting to push steam out of the vent pipe. Okay, so I just started my 10-minute timer for the first pressure canner. I had just enough water, but I forgot that I needed to run downstairs to get some more lids and rings, so I'll be right back. Alright, so both of the pressure canners are full. After the 10-minute vent, I will add the weight, and then they will, once it comes up to pressure, the jars will stay in there for 90 minutes. So while the greens are in the pressure canner, I have about, I think, 23 or 24 more zucchini that need to be shredded. So I'm gonna get that done. All right, so it has been a long, hot day, and I am not done yet. Green beans are done. I'm done shredding the zucchini. But I still have one. It's so hot in my kitchen right now. I still have one canner load of greens to get done. So I have my pot of water on the stove. So once that gets hot enough, I will be able to get the last batch of greens in the canner for a total of 21 jars. If there's, for some reason, there's more after I do this next batch, we'll likely just eat it for dinner a day this week versus me staying up even later to can more. And I do want to show you something. So I had went down to the root cellar to grab some more jars because I didn't have enough up here, and I grabbed this one. Can you see that? I have no idea when this got chipped or how it got chipped, but you can't use jars like this when you're canning because it can negatively impact the seal on the jar. So this for me is trash. So that way I don't accidentally use it at some other point. So yeah, it's been a long day. It's almost 7 o'clock and I'm not done yet. You know, greens are in the pressure canner for 90 minutes, but that doesn't include the venting and getting up to pressure and also depressurizing. You see how much I'm sweating. It's so hot in here. And I still need to go outside and water the garden. It was looking like it might rain, so fingers crossed it does. If not, I will be outside watering the garden. Hopefully I can get the greens in the canner before then. Dinner is late. It's 30 minutes from being done. I got my sides on the stove. But that is really it. So this is my first time canning greens. I don't think it was hard to can them, but it is a tedious process. You know, cleaning greens in general takes a long time if you want to clean them properly. So that takes a lot of time. Cutting them can take a lot of time. Wilting them takes time, and then the canning process takes time. So if I'm canning greens, I likely won't can anything else on the same day, and I won't do any other projects just because it took up so much of my time. I ended up with I think 18 bags of shredded zucchini that I need to take downstairs and put in the freezer. And I'll show you those two in a minute. But yeah, it's been a long but productive day. If you have any questions about the canning process, feel free to put them in the comments below. But overall, I think it went well. I can see that some of my jars already sealed, and I can also see that my little baby has my wallet. So I need to stop talking so I can get my wallet. But I do want to show you, Lord, I do want to show you just what I have done so far, because I'll be up for a little while, and I think I'm going to switch over to iced coffee because it is a sauna in here. It was hot outside. The canners have been running literally all day. So, or at least the stove has been on all day. I have the oven on now because there's chicken in there. So it's just hot. But let me turn this camera around so I can show you what I have done so far. So here is what I have done so far. So those are my 12 jars of green beans and my 14 jars of greens and my 18 gallon size bags of shredded zucchini. So yeah, like I said, very productive day today. I do think that my total number of jars for the greens will be 21. Yeah. But I highly doubt that I am going to pick up this camera again tonight because by the time I'm done, it's going to be late. But thank you for hanging out with me today. Let me know what you're preserving right now. How's your garden doing? You know, just put all of that information down in the comments. So if you've canned greens before, let me know how your experience was. And if you can see this one right here, I think I could have packed that one a little bit more, but I'll do better next time. Yeah, so I definitely think this video is going to be longer than usual, but there's a lot of good information in here for people who want to learn how to can and, you know, just different ways to preserve the foods that you are either growing yourself, getting from your local farmers, your big box stores, you know, wherever you get it from. You know, these are ways that you can preserve food and have it for, you know, the winter months. So, but as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.